What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. As I said earlier today on today's video, immigration seems to be a mass problem, no pun intended, in Canada. In fact, we've seen our federal government leave the door open for multiple years, for almost a decade now, while Alberta has, or not Alberta, but Canada has seen a massive influx of immigration that's essentially wiping out Canada's identity, putting us at risk, raising our housing costs, our food prices, you name it. It's so bad, in fact, that immigration was the number one concern on Canadians' minds as we entered our last federal election. Yet Mark Carney does nothing about it. Isn't it funny that that's the way it works? Luckily, if you're in Alberta, I know I slipped on Alberta when I was talking Canada earlier. If you're in Alberta, there seems to be a solution. At least somebody's standing up for it. Premier Danielle Smith talking about Alberta Next panels, and a lot of criticism has come saying, look, Danielle's got to stop talking about things and do it. We need some action. I agree. Hopefully, my hope is that these Alberta Next panels will do exactly what Danielle said they would do, that they will take the concerns of Albertans seriously and put the popular items on a 2026 referendum ballot. Now, for anybody who's wondering about said town halls that are going around between July and September, here is the schedule. July, they're going to be the 15th in Red Deer, 16th in Sherwood Park, August 14th in Edmonton, 26th in Fort Mac, August 27th in Lloydminster. September 2nd, they'll be in Medicine Hat. The 11th, they'll be in Lethbridge. The 15th, Airdrie. 17th of September, they'll be in Grand Prairie. 29th of September, they'll wrap up in Calgary. Now, it does note down here, registration for each event opens 2 weeks prior to the event date, and it says that dates and times are subject to change. If you want to keep up to date with registering for these panels, making sure you get a seat so that you can go to these panels and voice your concerns, Alberta Next Panel.ca is the website you want to go to, or you can just Google search Alberta Next Panel or Alberta Next, and it will take you straight to the site within the first result, I believe. Now, once they open up registration, again, my guess is somewhere within the next few days, you'll see registration open up for Red Deer, Sherwood Park. You'll want to get registered, and I would encourage anyone in Alberta who wants to talk about getting independence on a ballot for 2026 goes to these events. Make sure you're loud and clear so that Danielle knows that not just signatures are required, but that Albertans are fed up, that they've had enough, and it's time to make a change. Now, what's funny about all of this is that Danielle Smith that we're seeing is now stepping up for Albertans with discussion on her Alberta Next panel. So panel members are saying that they have an idea to cut aid now to some newcomers who come to the provincial government. I want to get into that. Two members of Alberta's panel fighting federal overreach say that they aren't responsible for the message and ideas on the panel's website, including a suggestion to end social supports for some newcomers. So again, they're concerned about, hey, we're not backing this, but hey, it's part of the panels. I'm glad it's part of the panels because I think it needs to be discussed. I can't comment on what the provinces has put in the website. Adam Legge, president of the Business Council of Alberta, said in an interview last Wednesday. Legge and the University of Calgary economist Trevor Toome are two of the 15 people introduced by Premier Danielle Smith this week for the Alberta Next panel. The panel, led by Smith, is set to tour the province this summer to hear concerns from citizens surrounding ways to stop unwarranted meddling in Alberta's affairs from Prime Minister Mark Carney's government. The panel is to recommend a series of questions to be put on a referendum next year. Legge, who stood beside Smith the day before at a press conference announcing the panel, said he agreed with messaging on the panel's website that blames housing costs and unemployment on disastrous immigration rates. In the interview, he said that immigration levels, especially for temporary foreign workers and international students, are out of control. Again, we've showed videos where the federal government admits that roughly 5 million undocumented temporary foreign workers and international students are expected to just leave Canada when they're told their time is up, yet they have no idea where they are or how they're going to implement them to actually leave. This is disastrous for our country. Quote here, the numbers have gotten so high that Canada simply cannot keep up on social service standpoint, housing standpoint, access to doctors, and physician standpoint, he says. but he declined to comment on the panel polling Albertans on cutting social services like healthcare and education to immigrants not sanctioned by Alberta. Toom, in an interview, said that the panel's website ideas originate with the government. I can't speak to the government's marketing decisions, Toom said. Politicians of all parties, of all governments, are in the business of persuading. When asked if he agreed cutting services access was a solution, Toom said he didn't agree with the immigration problems as they were illustrated on the panel's website. He said it's not clear if the government is more concerned about population pressures, international students, or housing shortages, but said in each instance, reality is more complicated than what is laid out by the government. Quote, if we can clearly define what the actual concern is, then we can get into a more productive policy conversation about how to address it. Well, that's essentially what's happening here, and he's kind of passing the buck. Canadians are fed up. Canadians are sick and tired. In fact, I'm not going to show it again because I've shown it multiple times on this channel. The video of the India man claiming, hey, I get 82-something thousand a year to come to Canada, free and clear. I have to do nothing. Sounds like a free vacation to me. Meanwhile, Canadian citizens are taxed out the wazoo. They can't afford their home. They can't afford their food. They can't afford to turn their lights on. The panel's website goes on to say immigration over the past decade has been disastrous and done without any sort of proper vetting. And that's essentially what I said in this morning's video, is that there's nothing wrong with immigration. There's nothing wrong with bringing people to this country so long as you have jobs for them to fill, so long as you have a healthcare system that can provide for the needs of those who actually live here versus the ones we're bringing in. You have to make sure that we're not giving them programs to sit on their butt and essentially live on welfare while the rest of us work hard to pay for it. Quote, housing prices have skyrocketed, unemployment keeps increasing as immigration outpaces job growth, and sadly, many of the divisions and disputes that plague other countries have begun making their way into ours, the website reads. Again, there's nothing racist about that, that's just fact. Jobs and growth and statistics don't care about the color of your skin. To counterreact this, the website says Alberta could issue its own immigration permits and cut off those who don't have them from accessing provincially funded services. I'm on board with that. You either do things legally or you don't get it. Smith has spoken about the panel for months, characterizing it as part of a two-track process to listen to the Albertans' concerns while also negotiating with Carney's government on ways to reduce federal rules and policies Smith says are undermining energy development and Alberta's overall prosperity. Smith's government has also loosened referendum rules, making it easier for citizens to gather signatures for public votes on hot topics, including separating from Canada. I love that Global News is pointing that out in this article, because this is exactly why I'm saying you should be going to these panels, is to make it well heard to the government what your grievances are. Keep in mind, part of the reason they're holding these panels is to understand where they fit in come the next provincial election. They either have to get behind the horse or they're going to get run over by it. The immigration proposal and messaging on other ideas for consideration drew criticism from provincial and federal counterparts, of course, because they bring these folks over for votes. In Calgary, Federal Industry Minister Melanie Joly, asked by reporters about the panel, said she was not necessarily keeping up with it, but added, I'm personally a very important proponent of national unity. So she's basically said she doesn't care. Why? Because it's Alberta. So she says, even though I'm an important proponent to national unity, she doesn't keep track of what Alberta's doing because it doesn't matter. Alberta Independence Senator Paula Simons posted on social media that Smith's government was embarking on a vile hate campaign when it comes to its proposed immigration measures. Well, then tell me how it hasn't affected our country. Tell me how everything's fine the way it is. This bitter xenophobia is as un-Albertan as it's possible to be. So again, you're all racists. We'll talk about the crime, talk about the housing prices, talk about the shortages. Tell me it's xenophobic. Opposition NDP leader Naheed Nenshit said in the panel's ideas are worrisome and full of extremist language that has no place in our province. Again, Go Woke, Go Broke. Smith's press secretary, Sam Blackett, shout out to Sam, she's amazing, responded to emailed questions on immigration issue by sending quotes from the panel's website. He also said that a potential Alberta-approved immigration permit would be granted to those who move to the province under the Alberta Advantage immigration program, which fast-tracks the permanent residency process for workers in sought-after sectors like healthcare, technology, and law enforcement. So again, as long as you've got your documents and everything is necessary, if we need you here, you're fine. So I don't understand what the uproar is. They just want to vet things. What's wrong with vetting? Sam Blackett said permanent residents also wouldn't be blocked from accessing services altogether. I mean, I don't see the problem here with asking questions. I don't see the problem with the premier looking for more from her constituents to say, look, you've given me a mandate. What do you want from this government? We're willing to listen to you. Can anybody name another province or the federal government ever sitting down and saying, our ears are open, we want to listen, we care about what you think? This has nothing to do with Alberta independence at this point. It has to do with what's suitable, whether you have a province, an independent nation, or a country in Canada to function under. You have to ask these questions, even if they're uncomfortable. I think Danielle's doing a bang-up job by asking this at her panels, but let me know what you think down below. Is it time we start cutting off some of these services so people aren't coming here for a free ride? Let me know your thoughts down below. If it's your first time here, I hope this video's earned your subscription. Make sure as you're hitting that button, you click the bell for all notifications so that you never miss a beat whenever a video drops on this channel. Join me live on the channel each and every Friday night for Friday Night Fringe, my weekly live streaming show, where I'm joined by the beautiful Mrs. Fringe as we talk about everything that happened this week in politics, everything we know that's coming up in the week ahead, as well as back and forth Q&A within the greatest YouTube community on the platform. I look forward to talking to you guys outside of making these videos, but I most importantly look forward to hearing what you have to say this Friday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central here on the channel. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.